What if the difference between spending your final decades in a nursing home or hiking with your grandchildren comes down to a decision you make before your feet even touch the floor? It sounds impossible, perhaps even reckless to suggest, but there's a biological mechanism, a silent switch inside your brainstem, that gets flipped the moment you open your eyes. And the terrifying reality is that 99% of people over the age of 60 are flipping that switch in the wrong direction every single morning. They are unknowingly triggering a cascade of inflammation, hormonal chaos, and microscopic damage that accumulates day after day, year after year. By the time you finish hearing this, thousands of seniors will have started their day by shocking their hearts, poisoning their gut, or starving their brains of oxygen, simply because they missed a critical window of time. It is a window that lasts exactly 5 minutes. Doctors call it the cortisol awakening response, but your body knows it as survival. If you get these first 300 seconds wrong, you are essentially telling your body to age faster. You are inviting the brain fog, the stiff joints, the dangerous spikes in blood pressure that feel like inevitable symptoms of aging, but are actually symptoms of a morning routine that is fighting against your biology. But here's the truth that the pharmaceutical industry doesn't put on a pill bottle. Your body is capable of a profound regeneration, a daily reversal of age-related decline, if you simply unlock the code of those first few minutes. There is a specific, scientifically proven sequence, a biological boot-up process that protects your neurons, stabilizes your heart rhythm, and drastically lowers your risk of premature death. A recent analysis of longevity data suggests that mastering this transition doesn't just make you feel better today. It can literally add quality years to your lifespan. Most people think they know how to wake up. They think it's simple. You open your eyes, you sit up, you get out of bed. But physically, that approach is akin to redlining a car engine that has been sitting in a freezer all night. You might get moving, but you are causing catastrophic wear and tear on the internal components. To understand why this is happening, we have to look at what your body is actually doing while you sleep. It is not passive. It is working harder than it does all day. Your brain is flushing out neurotoxins. Your spine is decompressing and rehydrating. Your blood pressure dips to its lowest point to give your heart a rest. Your body enters a state of deep repair. But this creates a fragile state. When that alarm goes off, or when you naturally wake, your physiology is in a delicate suspension. Your blood is thicker and more viscous than at any other time of day because you haven't consumed water for 8 hours. Your arteries are relaxed and dilated. Your brain is operating in theta waves, a dreamlike state of subconscious processing. Now, imagine what happens when you suddenly jolt awake and sit up. Gravity takes over instantly. Because your cardiovascular system is still in rest mode, it cannot pump blood fast enough to the brain to compensate for the sudden vertical change. This creates a momentary hypoxic state, a lack of oxygen to the brain. You might not faint, but you might feel that familiar wash of dizziness, or just a slight heaviness behind the eyes. That is the feeling of brain cells struggling for fuel. In the medical world, this is a precursor to orthostatic hypotension, a condition linked to a significantly higher risk of falls and fractures in seniors. But the internal damage is even more insidious. To compensate for this sudden drop in pressure, your adrenal glands panic. They dump a massive surge of adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream to force your heart to beat faster. This is the morning shock. You are starting your day in a state of chemical fight or flight before you have even brushed your teeth. Over time, this chronic morning stress spike stiffens the arteries, exhausts the adrenal system, and accelerates cognitive decline. It explains why you feel tired by 2 p.m. It explains why your anxiety hums in the background. It explains why you need 3 cups of coffee just to feel human. You are trying to fix a broken foundation with stimulants. But there's a different way, a method that respects the biology of the aging body and turns the morning into a source of healing rather than stress. It requires you to do something that feels counterintuitive. It requires you to do nothing. This brings us to the first and perhaps most critical adjustment, the foundation upon which your entire health rests. It is the horizontal reset. The moment consciousness returns to you, before you throw off the covers, before you reach for your glasses, and certainly before you reach for a phone, you must remain flat. Do not sit up. This is not about laziness. It is about hemodynamic stabilization. When you wake, your spinal discs have absorbed fluid overnight, expanding and making your spine stiffer. Your muscles are cold. Your sensory nerves are dormant. Lying still for just 60 to 90 seconds allows the body to recognize that it is awake without triggering the panic response. During this minute of stillness, you begin the internal scan. Start by gently wiggling your fingers and toes. This sounds trivial, but it sends a low-voltage signal through your peripheral nervous system, waking up the nerve endings all the way to your extremities without stressing the heart. You are bringing the system online, section by section, like a pilot flipping switches in a cockpit before starting the engines. Next, you move to the eyes. Blink rapidly for 10 seconds. This lubricates the corneas and stimulates the optic nerve, which is directly connected to the brain's alertness centers. You are signaling to the brain, we are preparing for visual input. Prepare for processing. Then, engage the breath. Not a casual breath, but a deep, deliberate expansion of the diaphragm. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and release. Do this 3 times. This floods that thick, oxygen-depleted morning blood with fresh oxygen before asking it to circulate against gravity. You are oxygenating the fuel before you step on the gas. Only after this minute of calibration do you prepare to move. And even then, the movement must be specific. You do not do a sit-up. That puts immense strain on a cold lumbar spine. Instead, you perform the log roll. You bend your knees, roll your entire body to one side as a single unit, and use your arms to slowly push your torso upright while swinging your legs over the edge of the bed. This technique, borrowed from physical therapy for back pain patients, should be the standard for everyone over 50. It keeps the spine neutral and prevents that sudden rush of head rush dizziness. Once you are sitting on the edge of the bed, pause again. This is the equilibrium point. Your feet are on the floor, your hips are on the bed. Give your heart 30 seconds to adjust to this new elevation. This is where the magic happens. You will notice that the room doesn't spin. The brain fog isn't as dense. You feel grounded, stable, present. But you are not safe yet. Because what happens next, the very next action you take, is where almost everyone destroys the progress they just made. There's a bacterial war that has been raging in your mouth while you slept. Most people have been taught since childhood that the morning routine is wake up, drink water or coffee, eat breakfast, then brush teeth. This sequence is not just backward. It is biologically hazardous. While you sleep, your saliva production drops to almost zero. Saliva is your mouth's natural detergent. Without it, bacteria multiply at an exponential rate. They form a thick, sticky film over your teeth, gums, and tongue. This is not just morning breath. This is a concentrated bioload of toxins, inflammatory byproducts, and pathogenic bacteria. Some of these bacteria are linked to heart disease. Others are linked to arterial plaque, and many of them produce acidic byproducts that can permeate the gut lining. Now, think about what happens when you wake up and immediately drink a glass of water. You are taking that entire night's worth of bacterial overgrowth, that toxic sludge, and you are washing it directly down into your stomach. You are effectively inoculating your gut with the very things your body was trying to isolate. You absorb these toxins into your bloodstream, triggering low-grade systemic inflammation that can last for hours. This inflammation is the enemy of longevity. It attacks your joints, making them feel stiffer. It attacks your endothelial lining, making your blood vessels less flexible. So, before you swallow a single drop of water, before you taste coffee, before you take your medication, you must perform the oral detox. This is not just about brushing. Brushing alone often pushes bacteria around or misses the colonies hiding deep in the porous surface of your tongue. The tongue is like a thick carpet. It traps debris and bacteria deep within its fibers. If you look in the mirror immediately after waking, you will likely see a white or yellowish coating on your tongue. That is the biofilm. The protocol requires a specific tool that costs a few dollars but saves thousands in dental and medical bills later, a stainless steel tongue scraper. Immediately after your log roll out of bed, walk to the bathroom. Do not pass go. Pick up the scraper and gently run it from the back of your tongue to the front. You will be horrified by what you remove. That sludge was destined for your stomach. By removing it, you are unburdening your immune system. But we can go deeper. There is an ancient Ayurvedic practice that modern science is beginning to validate for its ability to reduce oral bacterial load significantly. Oil pulling. Before brushing, take a teaspoon of coconut oil or sesame oil. Swish it in your mouth. Push it through your teeth. Do not gargle it, just swish. The lipids in the oil bind to the lipid membranes of the bacteria, effectively acting like a magnet that pulls the bacteria out of the crevices of your gums and teeth. Do this for 60 seconds to start. Eventually, you can work up to 3 minutes. The oil will turn milky white as it fills with toxins. Then, and this is crucial, spit it into the trash can. Never swallow it. If you swallow it, you are re-ingesting the toxins. Only after you have scraped and oil pulled do you rinse with warm water and brush your teeth. Now, your mouth is a clean slate. Your body is chemically neutral. You have protected your spine, stabilized your blood pressure, and eliminated the toxic load. You are 5 minutes into your day, and you are already physiologically ahead of 99% of the population. But now, a craving hits. The brain is awake, and it is demanding a reward. For millions of people, this is the moment they reach for the coffee pot. The aroma is comforting. The ritual is ingrained. But if you drink coffee at this specific moment, within the first hour of waking, you are making a hormonal mistake that will cost you energy, patience, and sleep later in the day. You are about to collide with your body's natural cortisol rhythm in a way that creates a dependency loop hard to break. The science of caffeine timing is one of the most misunderstood aspects of modern health, and getting it wrong is why so many seniors suffer from the afternoon crash and fragmented sleep at night. The body has a natural wake-up hormone called cortisol. It is supposed to rise naturally, peaking about 30 to 45 minutes after you wake. This is your natural caffeine. It alerts the system, mobilizes glucose for energy, and sharpens focus. When you introduce caffeine, a powerful stimulant, right when your cortisol is naturally spiking, you are effectively blunting the cortisol response. Your body thinks, oh, we have plenty of stimulation. We don't need to produce our own energy. Over weeks and months, your adrenal glands become sluggish. You stop waking up with energy. You start needing the coffee just to reach baseline. Furthermore, caffeine is a diuretic. Remember, your blood is already thick and dehydrated. Adding a diuretic now constricts the blood vessels even further, forcing the heart to pump harder against resistance. So, the rule is simple but strict: delay. You must wait at least 60 to 90 minutes after waking before your first cup of coffee. You have to let your body's natural engine warm up before you hit the turbo button. But, you might ask, if I can't have coffee, and I can't just sit there, what should I do? This is where the routine shifts from protection to activation. You have cleaned the system. You have stabilized the pressure. Now, you need to turn on the navigation system. You see, your brain relies on 3 things to know where you are in space: your eyes, your inner ear, and the nerve endings in your feet. As we age, the signals from our feet, proprioception, start to dull. We lose the sensation of the ground. This is why seniors look down when they walk. They don't trust the data coming from their souls. But you can recalibrate this system every single morning. It is a technique used by stroke victims to regain balance, and it acts as a powerful signal to the brain that we are active, we are stable, we are ready. It involves taking off the socks. It involves removing the barrier between you and the earth. This next step, often called grounding the senses, is not spiritual woo-woo. It is neurological calibration. And if you skip it, you are navigating your day with a blurry map. The bottom of your foot is not just skin. It is a technological marvel of biology, designed to be the primary interface between your nervous system and the world. It contains over 200,000 nerve endings, a concentration of senses so dense it is rivaled only by your lips and your fingertips. These senses are constantly hunting for data, texture, temperature, slope, vibration, to tell your brain exactly how to adjust your posture to keep you upright. But for decades, we have blinded them. We wrap them in thick wool socks, we shove them into cushioned slippers, and we encase them in rubber-soled shoes. We treat our feet like fragile glass that must be protected, when in reality, they are antennas that need to be tuned. When you encase your feet the moment you wake up, you are effectively putting a blindfold on your balance system. Your brain stops receiving the data it expects. It starts to guess. And when an aging brain guesses about where the floor is, that is when falls happen. So, here's the protocol. After you have cleared your mouth and delayed your caffeine, find a patch of hard, flat floor. It can be hardwood, tile, or, if you are lucky enough to have a garden, actual earth. But it must be firm. Carpet is too confusing for the senses right now. You need feedback. Stand there, barefoot. Place your feet hip-width apart and close your eyes. At first, you might feel a slight sway. That is your vestibular system calibrating. It is searching for the horizon. Now, slowly shift your weight to your toes, gripping the floor, then rock back to your heels. Do this 10 times. You are physically waking up the proprioceptors. You are forcing the nerves to fire signals up the leg, through the spine, and into the cerebellum. You might feel a tingling sensation running up your shins. That isn't just blood flow, it is neural activation. You are turning the lights on in the lower half of your body. This simple act, performed for just 2 minutes every morning, has been shown to improve balance and reaction time significantly more than conventional exercise because it targets the neurological hardware of stability, not just the muscles. Now that your body is grounded and your senses are online, we must address the most critical deficiency in your system. Your brain is currently shrinking. It sounds like a headline from a horror movie, but it is a physiological fact. During the night, as you breathe and sweat, you lose up to a liter of water. But you don't just lose volume from your bladder, you lose it from your cells. Your brain is 80% water. When you are dehydrated, the brain tissue literally contracts, pulling away from the skull. This physical shrinkage impairs cognitive function, shortens attention span, and amplifies irritability. If you have ever woken up feeling grumpy, anxious, or like you just cannot focus on a simple task, you likely aren't tired. You are drought-stricken. But here's the mistake that even health-conscious people make. They march to the kitchen and chug a large glass of ice-cold plain water. They think they are flushing their system. In reality, they are shocking it. Ice water causes the blood vessels in your stomach to constrict, hindering absorption. It shocks the vagus nerve, which runs right past the esophagus, potentially slowing your heart rate and digestion. And plain water, devoid of minerals, can actually flush out the few remaining electrolytes you have left, diluting your blood sodium levels. Your body doesn't run on water, it runs on electricity. And electricity needs a medium to conduct it. That medium is electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium. Without them, the signals between your neurons are weak and static-filled. So, we are going to make a neural elixir. Take a glass of warm water, room temperature or slightly heated. The warmth mimics your internal body temperature, allowing for effortless absorption. Into this, you add a pinch of high-quality mineral salt, Himalayan pink salt or Celtic sea salt. You are not adding enough to make it taste like the ocean, just enough to mineralize it. Then, a squeeze of lemon. The lemon provides natural enzymes to prime the liver and digestion. But the salt is the key. The salt provides the electrical charge. Drink this slowly. Don't gulp. As you drink, visualize the water not just hitting your stomach, but traveling to your brain. Within minutes, that shrunken feeling in your head expands. The fog doesn't just lift, it evaporates. Your neurons begin firing with speed and precision. You might notice your vision becomes sharper. Your hands feel steadier. This is the difference between a car running on fumes and a car with a full tank of high-octane fuel. You are now hydrated, grounded, and clean. But you are still stiff. You feel it in the lower back when you bend over the sink. You feel it in the knees when you walk down the stairs. The creakiness of age. We accept this as normal. We say, "Oh, I'm just getting old." But stiffness is not purely a result of age. It is a result of dryness. Think of your joints like hinges on a door. Inside every joint capsule, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, there's a magical substance called synovial fluid. It is the body's WD-40. It is a thick, egg white-like liquid that lubricates the cartilage and allows bones to glide over each other smoothly. However, there's a catch. Synovial fluid is motion-activated. When you are still for 8 hours, the fluid creates a gel-like consistency and settles. The joint becomes dry. If you try to do a workout, or go for a jog, or even walk briskly immediately after waking, you are grinding dry gears against each other. This causes microtrauma, inflammation, and eventually arthritis. You do not need exercise in the morning. You need lubrication. You need a routine that turns that gel back into liquid before you put a load on it. We call this the grease protocol. It starts with the ankles. Sit on a chair or the edge of your bed. Lift one foot. Draw big, slow circles with your big toe. 10 times clockwise, 10 times counterclockwise. You might hear popping or clicking. That is nitrogen gas escaping the joint. It's the sound of the joint opening up. Move to the knees. Stand up. Place your hands on your knees and gently rotate them in small circles. You are not doing deep squats. You are just swishing the fluid around the meniscus. Then, the hips, the fulcrum of your body. Stand tall and pretend you are stepping over a low fence. Lift your knee, open it wide to the side, and set it down. Do this 5 times on each side. This motion forces synovial fluid into the deepest part of the hip socket, a place that rarely gets lubrication during normal walking. Finally, the shoulders and neck. Roll your shoulders up to your ears and back down. Then, slowly look left, look right, look up, look down. This entire sequence takes 3 minutes. It is not cardio. You won't break a sweat. But the result is miraculous. You will feel a sudden release of tension. The concrete feeling in your legs turns into rubber. You can move freely. You have prepared your mechanical structure for the day. You have oiled the machine. Now that the body is ready, we face the most dangerous enemy of the modern morning. The enemy that is waiting for you on your nightstand or in your pocket. The screen. For millions of people, the very first thing their brain processes after waking is a screen. A text message, a news headline, a weather report, a social media feed. This seems harmless. It is just information, right? Wrong. It is a neurological hijacking. When you look at a screen, you are training your brain to be reactive. You are flooding your dopamine receptors with cheap, unearned stimulation. You are letting the world dictate your emotional state before you have even decided how you want to feel. You see a bad headline, your cortisol spikes. You see an email from a boss. Your anxiety triggers. You are giving away your power. You are starting your day in defense mode. But worse than the emotional toll is the cognitive toll. This passive consumption puts your brain into a state of input overload. You are consuming, consuming, consuming. You are not creating. Your brain becomes a spectator. If you want to protect your memory, if you want to stay sharp until you are 90, you must flip this dynamic. You must switch from passive input to active output. You need to force your brain to generate something, to work, to solve, to recall. This is the cognitive spark. And it doesn't happen by reading the news silently. It happens by speaking. There's a fascinating feedback loop between your vocal cords, your ears, and your brain. When you read silently, you use one part of your brain. When you read aloud or speak aloud, you engage the motor cortex, movement, the auditory cortex, hearing, and the linguistic centers simultaneously. You are lighting up the brain like a Christmas tree. Here is the challenge. Do not touch your phone for the first 30 minutes. Instead, engage in 5 minutes of active recall or aloud reading. Pick up a book, a real book, with paper pages. Read one paragraph out loud. Listen to your own voice. Enunciate the words. Or, try this memory game. While you are drinking your warm salt water, try to name 5 things you are grateful for out loud. Or try to recall the dinner you had 3 nights ago in vivid detail. I had chicken. It was a bit dry. The broccoli was salty. This forces the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain, to fire up. You are demanding access to your archives. You are telling your brain, we are using this machinery today. The difference in your mental clarity will be shocking. When you finally do look at your phone or start your work, you won't feel overwhelmed. You will feel dominant. You will feel like you are acting on the world, rather than the world acting on you. We have now covered the spine, the mouth, the blood, the joints, and the brain. You are almost bulletproof. But there is one final piece of the puzzle. It is the most powerful synchronizer of human biology, and it is hanging in the sky above you. Most seniors live in biological darkness. They spend their mornings indoors, under artificial lights that flicker at a frequency the brain finds confusing. These lights are bright enough to see by, but they are not bright enough to trigger the chemical signals that tell your body it is daytime. As a result, your circadian rhythm drifts. You don't make enough serotonin, the happy hormone, in the morning, which means you don't have enough precursor material to make melatonin, the sleep hormone, at night. Your sleep suffers. Your mood suffers. Your immune system weakens. You need to consume light as if it were a nutrient. Because it is. This brings us to the photon shower. Step outside. It does not matter if it is cloudy. It does not matter if it is cold. The light intensity outdoors, even on a completely overcast day, is anywhere from 50 to 100 times brighter than your living room lighting. Your eyes are hungry for this specific spectrum of photons. You don't need to stare at the sun. Please, never stare directly at the sun. Just look toward the horizon. Look at the sky. Let that natural blue light hit the back of your retinas. Inside your eyes, there are special cells called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. They are not used for vision. They are used for timing. When they detect this bright morning light, they send a direct signal to the hypothalamus, the master clock of your brain. This signal does two profound things instantly. First, it triggers a pulse of cortisol, the healthy kind, that wakes you up fully and suppresses any lingering sleepiness. This is nature's espresso shot. Second, and this is the miracle, it sets a timer. It starts a countdown clock that tells your pineal gland exactly when to release melatonin 12 to 14 hours later. By stepping outside for just 10 minutes in the morning, you are prescribing yourself a better night's sleep tonight. You are syncing your internal gears with the rotation of the planet. And while you are standing there, bathing in the light, connect it with the breath. Combine the photon shower with the oxygen flood. Most of us breathe shallowly, using only the top third of our lungs. This keeps us in a state of low-level anxiety. Deep, rhythmic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. Try this. Look at the sky. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale through your mouth with a whoosh sound for 8 seconds. This is the 4-7-8 technique. The long exhale is the key. It slows your heart rate. It lowers your blood pressure. It signals to every cell in your body that you are safe. Do 4 cycles of this. Just 4. It takes less than 2 minutes. So, let's look at where we are. You have woken up without shock. You have detoxed your mouth. You have grounded your feet. You have hydrated your brain. You have lubricated your joints. You have activated your mind. And you have synced your clock with the sun. You have done more for your health in 30 minutes than most people do in a month. And you haven't swallowed a single pill. You haven't run a marathon. You haven't spent a dime. But now, life happens. The morning routine ends, and the day begins. And this is where the morning effect usually fades. The stress of traffic, the annoyance of news, the processed food at lunch, it all starts to chip away at the foundation you just built. How do we protect this energy? How do we carry this feeling of vitality all the way to bedtime? You need a bridge. You need a strategy that transitions you from your sacred morning to your real life. The answer lies in how you break your fast. For decades, we've been told breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And for decades, we've been eating the wrong things. Toast, cereal, bagels, muffins, instant oatmeal. What do all these have in common? They are rapidly digesting carbohydrates. They are sugar bombs disguised as food. When you eat a high-carb breakfast after an overnight fast, your blood sugar rockets up. Your pancreas panics and dumps insulin to bring it down. The sugar crashes. By 10:30 a.m., you are hungry again. You are shaky. You are foggy. This is the glucose roller coaster, and it is one of the primary drivers of inflammation and weight gain in seniors. To keep the morning power alive, you must flip the script. You need a sustained energy breakfast. Prioritize protein and healthy fats. These are slow-burning fuels. They keep your blood sugar stable. They keep your mind clear. Think eggs. Think avocados. Think Greek yogurt with nuts. Think a protein smoothie with spinach and berries. When you start your day with protein, you trigger the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, neurotransmitters that improve focus and energy. You feel satiated. You feel steady. You are feeding your muscles, not your fat cells. Imagine this tomorrow morning. You sit down to a plate of scrambled eggs with spinach and a slice of avocado. You chew slowly. You are not rushing. You feel the nourishment entering your system. You don't feel that heavy, bloated sensation you get from pancakes. You feel light. You feel ready. This is the final lock on the door. You have sealed in the benefits of your routine. Now, I want you to pause and visualize something. Visualize a version of yourself 3 months from now. This version of you doesn't groan when getting out of bed. This version of you doesn't need to hold on to the wall to walk to the bathroom. This version of you remembers names instantly. This version of you has a glow to their skin, a sparkle in their eye that people notice. Your friends might ask, "What are you doing? Did you change your diet? Are you taking a new vitamin?" And you will just smile, because you know the secret. You know that it wasn't one big miracle cure. It was a series of small, intelligent choices made in the quiet moments of the morning. It was the decision to roll instead of sit. It was a decision to scrape instead of swallow. It was the decision to wait for the coffee. It was the decision to stand on the earth. It was the decision to look at the sky. These are the decisions that compound. Like interest in a savings account, they add up. A little bit of mobility today means a lot of independence 10 years from now. A little bit of cognitive challenge today means a sharp mind 20 years from now. You are building a fortress of health, brick by brick, every single morning. But there is a trap, a mental trap that stops people before they even start. It is the trap of all or nothing. You might be thinking, this sounds amazing, but there are 8 steps. I can't do 8 steps. I'm busy. I'm tired. I'll forget. And so, you do nothing. You go back to the old routine. The routine that is slowly wearing you down. Please, hear me on this. You do not have to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of progress. If you can only do one thing tomorrow, just do one. Start with the water. Just drink the warm, salty water. That's it. Do that for a week until it becomes automatic. Until you miss it if you don't do it. Then, add the tongue scraping. Then, add the sunlight. Build it slowly. This is not a boot camp. This is a lifestyle. It is meant to serve you, not stress you. There will be days when you oversleep. There will be days when it's raining and you can't go outside. There will be days when you just want the coffee immediately. That is okay. You are human. The goal is not to be a robot. The goal is to be consistently better than you were yesterday. And as you start to feel the changes, and you will feel them, often within the first 3 days, your motivation will shift. You won't be doing it because you should. You will be doing it because you are addicted to how good it feels. You will become protective of your morning. You will realize that those first 30 minutes are the most valuable real estate of your day. They are yours, nobody else's. Not your boss's, not your family's, not the news anchors. Yours. This is your time to set the tone, to calibrate your instrument, to decide who you are going to be for the next 16 hours. But there is one last secret. A psychological trigger that binds everything together. It is the anchor phrase. The brain loves clear instructions. It loves purpose. When you wake up, your subconscious is wide open, suggestible. If you don't give it a direction, it will drift toward worry. It will start listing all the problems you have to solve today. You need to override that drift with a command. It doesn't need to be a poetic mantra or a spiritual affirmation if that's not your style. It just needs to be true, and it needs to be spoken out loud. Step 1. The very last thing you do before you start your day, after the water, after the movement, After the light, stand tall. Take a breath and say one sentence that defines your intention. It could be, "Today, I am strong and steady." It could be, "I'm grateful for this body and this day." It could be simply, "I am ready." When you speak this, you are engaging the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain. You are signing a contract with yourself. You are telling your nervous system, "This is the plan." And suddenly, the anxiety of the unknown fades. You have your orders. You have your energy. You have your balance. You are no longer a passenger in your own aging process. You are the pilot. Think about the alternative. Think about the mornings you are used to. The grogginess, the rushing, the stiffness that takes hours to shake off. The feeling that your body is slowly betraying you, piece by piece. That does not have to be your future. That does not have to be your tomorrow. You have a map now. You understand the biology. You see the logic. It isn't magic, it's maintenance. High-quality maintenance for the most complex machine in the universe. So, tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, catch yourself. Don't sit up. Don't reach for the phone. Remember this moment. Lie still. Feel the potential in your limbs. Wiggle your toes. Take that deep breath. And smile. Because you know something that 99% of the world doesn't. You know that the next 5 minutes are going to change everything. You know that you are about to give yourself the greatest gift possible. A longer, sharper, more vibrant life. The alarm is set. The water is ready. The sun will rise. The only question left is, will you? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.